Great job. Now let's take it a step further. From the last video, I showed you how to carry out a simple select by either selecting all from a certain table or selecting a couple of columns which have been given by you by whoever wants the query. Now let's see how we can carry out some arithmetic operations on columns. You may need to modify the way in which your data is displayed, or you may want to perform some sort of calculations or look at a what if scenarios. Right now, all these will be made possible by using arithmetic operations or expressions. An arithmetic expression can contain column names, it can contain constant numeric values, and the arithmetic operators, right? In our traditional math, we are familiar with a couple of arithmetic operators, which are your addition, your subtraction, your multiplication, and your division, right? We also have other advanced form of division like the modulus division and also what you have as the floor division. Now you can only use arithmetic operations on columns that are of the number, data type, and timestamps. Now let's hold on there and go back a bit. Number, data, type. So what that means is we have data types. Data types just specifies the attribute or characteristics a particular column should receive. So let's say, for example, there are some columns that might want to receive only numbers, example, salaries and all that. There might some columns that would want to receive characters or alphanumeric attributes, for example, first names, passwords, and all that, right? So that defines a data type. So let's talk about the number data type, right? A column is said to have or to be a number data type if it only receives numbers as input or numeric values as inputs, right? Now, these numeric values are of two types. You have integers. Integers represent your real natural numbers, either positive or negative. For example, 1 to 66, minus 100, minus 7, and 99. On the other hand, you have floats. Floats represent decimal numbers. Yeah, say for example, minus 1.3, 2.5, minus 66.9, 100.45, and all that, right? Now, you can only carry out arithmetic operations on columns that are represented as either integers or as floats. So, I mean, it only makes sense if I can add um, list price with standard cost, or if I can multiply price by quantity, or if I can add 70% to salaries and all that, right? I mean, as long as numbers are involved and also timestamps, we'll talk about timestamps later. As long as numbers are involved, right, I can carry out simple manipulation using the select statement with arithmetic operators and get a resultant column. So let's head over back to our server and put that into practice. Great. Now we are back on our console again just to put into practice what we learned about on arithmetic operators. Now we have a case scenario here where your manager wants to know the difference between the list price and the standard cost for all products. Now, he also wants you to show the product ID, the product name, the color of this product. Now, take note that we are not restricting anything. We just want to get the difference between the list price and the standard cost price for our manager. Also, he wants to see the product ID, the product name, the color of this product as part of the report. Now, let's get to that. As usual, it starts with select. Right, so what are we selecting? We are selecting the product ID, we are selecting the name. We are also selecting the color, and we're selecting the difference between the list price and the standard cost price, right? So basically, when you're trying to do this, it is advisable that you put that calculation in a bracket, right? So I would say list price subtracted from standard cost, right? Now, where are all this coming from? All these are coming from that same table called product, but it belongs to the sales schema, and the name of the table is called product. Great. Now, as long as you have the right column names in your select clause, right, you shouldn't run into an error when trying to execute this query. So if I highlighted this and execute, I then now have the difference between the list price and the standard cost price. Yes, one would be asking a question right now, and what if I wanted to include the list price and the standard cost as part of the select clause? Of course, yes, you can actually do that. Here I could just say list price and standard cost with a comma, and yes, I can then now have this. So if I run this, the only thing I would have different from this result is I would have the list price and the standard cost to it. Okay, so yeah, you can see how simple this is. Now, what if I wanted to let's say I wanted to add let's say 50% to the standard cost, right? I can actually do that. So let me copy this and paste here and say add in 50% to the standard cost. So what I can do here is I'll paste what I copied, and I can then add another comma here and say standard cost multiplied by 0.5. Okay, this is actually acceptable. Remember, from the intuition, I say I can have calculation between columns and also between columns and numbers, right? So if I then now run this and execute, I then now have 50%, assigned to the standard cost. But there is a catch here. Take note of how my calculation here for list price and standard cost, the difference between the list price and the standard cost, and the addition of 50% increase to the standard cost is giving us columns with no name. So the question is, how do we then actually fix that? All right. So yeah, in the next video, I will be introducing a new concept on how to actually see that this no column name is then now fixed. See you in the next video.